Plates ready? This is Food School, Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Want to feel amazing, love the way you look in the mirror, and perform your absolute best in the gym, at work, and in life? You're definitely in the right place. Food. It's you. It builds every single cell of you. And if there is one thing every human being must master, it's food. Because at the very least, eating, you do it every day, several times a day, every single day. You might as well get good at it. I'm your host, Shurina from createyourself.today, your personal nutritionist and plate watcher, your diet guide and explorer, your fat loss coach and food inspector. And just someone with a lot of passion and obsession and curiosity for healthy food, healthy diets, nutrition, optimized human performance, everything and absolutely anything you put in your grocery shopping cart, your fridge, on your plate, and in your mouth. It's my business. Food School, on a mission to help you eat better daily.
It's the last time I talk about food. It's the last time I talk about food.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Happy Monday, everyone! Today is a new day, a new week, everything new. Monday is a great day to refocus again on your goals, on the things that are important to you in your life, in your career, and plan your week so you actually do something meaningful, some meaningful progress towards the things that mean a lot to you, in your life, in your career, because we can all get busy. We can all get busy doing things all day long. If you ask an average person these days, everyone is busy, but are we making meaningful progress towards something that we really care about? Is something getting better in our life, or at least getting somewhere where we want to go? Or are we just busy doing things? So that's a good question to journal about on Monday. And if you ask me on any day of the week when you feel like, you're just busy doing stuff that doesn't necessarily mean a lot to you. So today's episode, guys, I'm going to give you a very, very cool, practical tools to get super productive as Mattias Ribbing, who I got a chance to meet at a biohacking conference. It's the first biohacking conference that happened in Moscow. So that was first biohacking conference happening in Russia, and I attended it. And so today you're gonna learn something really cool about productivity, some practical tools from the Grand Master of Memory from Sweden, Mattias Ribbing. He's the official Grand Master of Memory. There are, the whole competitions with among people who got really great at memorizing numbers and pictures and all sorts of stuff. So, and Mattias also writes books, and he does public speaking, and he's a father, so he's a busy guy, but still he manages to memorize a lot of stuff. So we're gonna learn from him. I actually already started to use a couple of his techniques yesterday, and I was blown away by the productivity boost that I got. And I also was blown away by my own shortened attention span. I thought I was focused. As I found out, I wasn't really, with all this social media and everything. So stay tuned till the end for this amazing gold from Mattias Ribbing, the Grand Master of Memory. But let's start with the Biohacking Conference. So what did I learn at this Biohacking Conference? There were a bunch of companies and people talking about all sorts of testing, of course, and gathering data about the self. So big data or small data, personalized data, right? So DNA testing, blood testing to learn how good you are with managing blood glucose, all sorts of cholesterol and lipids, and your intolerances to different foods and possible food allergies. So all sorts of testing, and I also, listening to all of these people from biohacking companies, and also people who do gather a lot of data about themselves and change their behaviors, their life for the better based on that. So I'm gonna do some of these tests in 2 to 3 weeks when the next time I'm in Moscow and moving to Europe. So that's gonna be happening in 2 to 3 weeks, and so I'm gonna test my DNA and all my blood lipids and whatever I can test, I'm gonna test it, and also just figure out what foods based on my blood test do actually work better or worse for me. So that's gonna be happening. So stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll also measure things like heart rate variability and my sleep quality to and also VO2 max, those parameters that tell you how fit you are, how healthy your heart is, how healthy your sleep is, because sleep is one of the most important aspects of your health and the predictor of how long and how healthy you're gonna live. So all of this testing, can be done almost anywhere in the world these days, and it's not even that expensive, guys. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably can afford DNA testing and all these other blood tests, most of them. Another thing that was interesting at the event, some new businesses. For example, there was a fitness company that sell memberships, that sell points to many different gyms in the city, in Moscow City. I saw something similar in US. ClassPass probably is something similar, but this one probably either the same or a little bit different, because I haven't really looked into ClassPass for a while and how they work right now. But this one, it's the first in Russia, and yeah, they basically sell you points, and these points you can use to go to different gyms and also use their treatments like massages or other spa treatments, or go to different classes. So that was new in Moscow. Also, there was one company as one of the sponsors who delivered healthy eating meals to people, mostly in Russia, for example. Now it's more about calories and clean ingredients. There is very little to none for people on different diets, like dairy-free or gluten-free. Gluten-free is not actually a thing in Russia yet. And what else? Keto and low carb are considered probably unhealthy, or a thing that you do to prepare for a contest or a really important event for you, like for a wedding, for, I don't know, a public speech, and you want to look really sharp and lean. So those low carb and keto diets are considered to be more of like extreme measure, not something that you do as a lifestyle. Much less awareness, just like in the rest of the world, I guess, about micronutrients in those companies who deliver healthy meals. So that's what another kind of trend or thing that I've learned about meal deliveries in Russia. And then, something interesting, there was a tea company. And what I noticed from a lot of brands right now, and they are probably one of the first in Russia, so this tea company, they don't position their teas as herbal or green or black or something else. They position them more of like experiences. So the packaging is also really cool. It was made kind of like a chocolate bar, or the pieces that you break off and then you put it in your teapot, and you brew it, and then you drink it. So it's kind of like cool packaging also. But also each tea has a name, like to relax, or sunny morning, or moonlight night, something like that, because the names were all in Russian. And so it's more about experiences and giving you a certain mood. And of course, for example, if it's something like a sunny morning, so it's something more of a pick me up kind of tea, and herbs. And then if it's something, related to night and evening, then usually it's more something calming when it comes to ingredients. So, and I believe more and more brands right now will move into this direction of creating experience with packaging, with taste, with all these other brand materials, brand science, because there is only so much you can do to any food, like tea, for example, and then the rest of it is just creativity, experience, colors, all these aspects of experience. It's not about tea anymore and how well you can combine herbs. It's more about, again, creating the experience for the person. So that was another trend that I noticed that I thought was kind of cool. And also, of course, there were things like hyperbaric camera, basically a camera that is sealed, and they create higher than our earth not earth but ground level atmosphere pressure, and then they oxygenate the environment more than usual, and so you stay in that camera in that it looks kind of like pod, kind of like I don't know, like a battery, but the battery where you can get inside. And so you stay there and you oxygenate your tissues and your cells. As the atmospheric pressure helps with that. Really, really, like much better than you would normally. And usually you feel much more energized, because the more oxygen we usually have in our tissues and especially in our brain, the better we function. So a few of those gadgets, and there was a company that does sleep box that puts glasses to block the blue light for when you travel, or for working or looking at screens at night, or just walking around, because our environment outside at night has a lot of blue lights. And also they would put their aromatherapy things and different creams and tea, and even the link to the book Why We Sleep, one of the best books on sleep, written by one of the best scientific writers, and he's actually a sleep scientist, Matthew Walker. So this is the bestseller and one of the best, again, books on sleep, science and practicality of it wise. So check it out. But yeah, so sleep is a huge thing. Besides all the companies, there was all of the speakers. We had actually a couple of speakers from US and from Europe, and we had many speakers from Russia, from different parts of Russia. And so all of the biohackers, people on the cutting edge, at least in Russia, but a lot of them are actually pretty informed about what is going on in the rest of the world. They speak English and they travel a lot. Some of them lived abroad. So really cool group of people. By the way, people who went to this biohacking conference were 25 to 40 tops, like I would say 25 to 35 actually. So a very young crowd of people. And it just makes me really excited, because we are, that generation that's going to bring something awesome into this world. We do care about our health. We do care about our environment. We do care about the quality of our food, and we're going to make it better. And we are more aware and more informed than probably any other generations in that age before us. We will do really cool things. So, but besides that, yeah, all of the speakers, they were talking about how important sleep is, and 8 to 9 hours, like it's not optional. And if you sleep less than 7 hours a night, then you're definitely sleep deprived. 8 to 9 hours being optimal for your physical and your mental performance. And guys, if you haven't slept for 8 to 9 hours for a while, then I highly recommend you to try it for a week and see how better you feel and perform. Literally. It seems like you have less time, but you're actually gonna do much more progress on meaningful for you things. You'll be able to focus much better, and more importantly, you're just gonna feel better. You'll wake up and you're rested and you're happy. And as Chris Dancy, the most connected man in the world, officially, if you Google the most connected man in the world, he said, why are we trying to live longer if we're not trying to live better? So what's the point to wake up early if you feel like shit? Like, do you want to feel most of your life? Because most of your life you will work, at least for now, until we prolong our life much, much longer. So if you're not waking up happy every day, why are you living? Why are you making yourself miserable? What's the point of that? Yeah, you gotta work hard. Yeah, you gotta achieve things, but you also gotta be happy. Otherwise, it's not worth it. None of it worth it. So sleep, yeah, sleep, a lot of talk about sleep and, 8 to 9 hours. And of course, all the sleep hacks like going to bed at the same time, having blackout curtains or your eye mask, sleeping in a cooler, quiet environment, not looking at the screens right before bed, not exposing yourself to light. Actually, about light, they didn't talk that much yet. It's not that popular in Russia, in the rest of the world too. But anyhow, so sleep, then the relation between the quality of our food, our lifestyle, like physical activity, macronutrients and micronutrients. They talked a lot about it. The relation that to how we feel daily, how we perform daily, how we look, and most importantly, that we can change those things and start looking better, feeling better, and having more awesome life experience. So they talked a lot about it, and yeah, different people, had different take on what is the healthiest, the best diet, but also they all admit that food, lifestyle, all of it, it gotta be personalized to a degree, of course. Like junk food is not good for anyone. Processed sugars are not good for anyone. Vegetable oils are not great for anyone. But things like, should you eat sweet potato or should you eat rice? That kind of, questionable mark. And, dairy products, like, they don't work for most people. And they also showed some statistics about dairy products, but some people, some part of the world population, mostly African origin and from that region closer to African population, but also some cultures in Europe that we do still digest dairy well. But food personalization is a trend. That's what I'm trying to say. There was no talk though about mitochondria health, energy producing plants of your cells, even though they were mentioned. And for example, it was mentioned that the more you exercise, the healthier your mitochondria are and the more energy you have on a regular basis. They didn't talk about microbiome that much at all, almost none. Yeah, I don't think I heard about it. So microbiome is not a big thing, and you cannot test your microbiome in Russia just yet. And also no talk about epigenetics, or basically, yeah, we can test our genes, but still not a lot of people are talking about the most important part of our genetics, that is epigenetics, or basically the changes in our genes, how they're expressed, that are happening when we change something about our lifestyle. So two people can have the exact same genes, but if one person leads healthy lifestyle, eats the diet that works for their genome, for their microbiome, and then the other person does the exact opposite. So how they look, how they feel, how much energy they have, it's going to be completely different. So that's what epigenetics is all about. So we can have, again, we can have the same genes, but what we experience in life, how those genes are expressed, can be completely different based on lifestyle choices that we make. A little bit more about Chris Dancy that I mentioned before, the most connected man in the world. His personal story is quite interesting. At some point, or at any point in his life, I'm not sure about the recency of his biography and the story that he told at the conference, he was not connected, but he had 700 to 800 different systems on his computer or through different apps that were measuring different aspects of his lifestyle, his biomarkers, basically that were gathering data about Chris. And he used that data to change his life and his everything himself. And so the story of Chris, he began telling his story from the time when he wasn't in good health. His career was falling apart. He was drinking. He was taking drugs. His social life was basically non-existent, really. And at some point, he got this idea that he'd like to change that. And he also noticed that when he did certain things like binge watched Netflix or had some crisis at work or something else, so certain behaviors, certain things in his environment changed the actions that he took after, like going to a bar and getting drunk. So he decided, why don't I measure things that change my behavior? And meetings, people he interacted with, watching something on Netflix or maybe on Instagram, etc. And so he decided, why don't I notice those things and then I change them to make me choose better, change my behaviors, my habits, so I feel better, so I do different things, and so I become someone I'd love to become. And so as an example, for example, how he decided to change how he felt. So he is more likely to do something that was good for him. He noticed that every time he would go outside in the park, that was an amusement park, he would see the sun and there were trees around and there were certain colors and certain music playing, that he would feel really, really good after that. And so he decided to recreate that environment in his house. So when he's feeling down and about to do something that was not good for him, like going out and getting drunk, or maybe, I don't know, arguing with something, he would put that theme in his house on, and that should change what he does after, and that worked. And so what he did, he recreated the colors, the lightning, the music, and whenever he started to feel down, he would put it on, play it in his smartified house, and that would change how he felt and what he did after. I actually sent Chris an email, invited him to Food School Podcast so he could help us to change our environment to promote healthy eating and regular exercise habits, so we do them automatically without consciously having to remind ourselves of that, or without having to exercise our willpower to promote better behaviors, right? So I'd really love to talk to Chris about what he would do, maybe what gadgets, what apps he would use to make healthy eating habits, make regular exercise habits that we do automatically instead of, again, using our willpower. So that's going to be an interesting piece of content. So let's hope for the best. The most important takeaway from Chris' talk, for me at least, was this phrase, we are all the products of our environment. So you might think that you don't eat right or you don't exercise because you don't have your willpower, or you're just not too motivated, or you're just lazy, or something else. But what Chris showed us is that it's not necessarily the case. Actually, maybe you're living in an environment that keeps you stressed all the time, or maybe you have those people around you who are always talking about going to pizza places, or maybe you live around pizza places, and at work you always see someone snacking on chocolates, and people not really caring about healthy lifestyle. And maybe on your Facebook or on your Instagram, you always see pictures of people partying and drinking, and that's why you do that. So the most important takeaway again from Chris was that we can change our environment, and then better choices can become so much easier. And I'm a huge fan of it, and I practice it all the time. And I already talked about that on the podcast, how you can put posters of healthy food. You can put healthy food all around you. Maybe talk to people in your office to put healthy snacks outside, and put candy somewhere in the cupboard. Put on your Instagram feed some inspiring fitness and healthy eating accounts. Maybe put up some healthy recipes on your fridge. Things like that. That's what it means to modify your environment, and you'll be surprised how much more often you're gonna make better choices that you actually know you want to do, but for some reason you cannot make them, and environment might be the reason, guys. So that was the most important takeaway from Chris. He also, by the way, has this book that I downloaded already, Don't Unplug. I'm really, really looking forward to read it. As soon as I finish the book that I'm reading now, the latest book on longevity, like if you want to know everything that is happening in longevity and anti-aging now, that this is the book. If you are curious about it, send me a note somewhere or a message, and I'm gonna give you the name of this book. But I'm gonna do a podcast episode on it somewhere around next week, probably, to talk about this book and all the takeaways, practical takeaways. Anyhow, book by Chris Dancy, The Most Connected Man in the World. You Google that and you're gonna find Chris and all his work and his book, Don't Unplug. And now, guys, we will get back to what I promised you: productivity hacks, productivity tools from the Grandmaster of Memory, one of the Grandmasters, because as I found out Googling it, it's a title that, people compete for every year or so, and so there are a lot of Grandmasters. So I'm not sure if Mattias is the current one, but he has the website, the Grandmaster of Memory.com. Anyhow, so these are the techniques that Mattias told us helped him to memorize so many things and get so much done with his family life, traveling, speaking, memory tournaments, writing his books and articles. These are the techniques that he uses. So number one, this is for focusing instead of checking your phone and Facebook and Instagram. I'm guilty of that. My focus and my attention span, as they say, became shorter than attention span of a goldfish. So these techniques that we are talking about right now, they helped me to get back to my focus and realize that I had a problem with my focus. So number one point bullet list. So basically, whenever you get to your office, for example, or you are in front of your computer about to start working, think about the thing that is the most important thing for you to accomplish right now. Take a Post-it. I actually have a Post-it. I actually got Post-it notes yesterday because of this, because I needed new ones exactly for this exercise. So you take a Post-it note and you put that, the most important thing for you to do right now, on that Post-it, and you put it on your computer or on the wall in front of you, somewhere right in front of your eyes. That is crucial, guys. So you put it there, and you're gonna work on that thing until it's done, and you can check whatever you want to check after you're done with that thing. But also, guys, if that's the task that you need to be working on, that it takes a little bit longer than, let's say, 20 to 25 minutes, then the next technique is the best technique to keep your focus on that thing, even with breaks, and to be productive through longer periods of time. So number one, let's get back to it. One point bullet list. So basically, you write down the thing that is the most important thing for you to accomplish right now on a post-it note, and then you put it, you stick it somewhere right in front of your eyes, and you work on that, only on that. And you can work on the other things after you are done with that. So no many bullet points, lists, to-do list, just 1 point bullet list, to-do list. And then you're going to use Pomodoro technique. A lot of you might be familiar with that. You might have heard about it, but you might not have tried it. And it really works. It really, guys, it works. Like I tried it yesterday for the first time. Actually tried it. I read about it for many, many times, but never actually applied it. So now I applied it and it works. It works for so many reasons, but trust me, it works. So what you do, you figure out that most important thing you're going to do. You put your post-it note somewhere where you can see it right in front of your eyes. And then you're gonna use your timer. Your phone probably is the best thing that you have available as your timer. You put an alarm clock in 25 minutes from now, from the start of your work session. So for example, you figure out the thing that you're going to be working on, you set your alarm 25 minutes from that moment, and then you take everything, you put everything to the side, your phones, your everything, so there are no notifications, no nothing. And so you work for 25 minutes on that thing. 25 minutes straight, doing nothing else, just that thing. And then when the alarm goes off, you take 5-minute break. 5-minute break. So you do whatever you want to do, but the best break, as Mattias, the grand master of memory, said, is something that allows your brain to wander. I don't know, go and look out of the window, do some fitness break like I like to do some squats, maybe some push-ups, some stretches, go and drink some water, maybe talk to someone, walk around again, look outside your window. So something that is not checking your email or social media. But if you're someone who's struggling with feeling like you're missing out when you are not checking your social media or your email, or you actually need to do that for work, then do that in that 5-minute break. And it's really actually, guys, crucial to finish exactly when your alarm goes off. Even if you are somewhere in the middle of the sentence, of writing a sentence or doing your task, that's actually gonna help you to jump right into focus state when you start your timer again. And you start your timer again in 5 minutes. So 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break again on a timer, and then you get back to work for another 25 minutes. That will allow you to keep you focused for much longer. You can work for many hours, guys, on the same task when you have that technique, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, doing something completely unrelated. And you continue that as many times as you need to finish whatever you need to finish this day. So Pomodoro technique, I tried it, guys. It works. It works like miracle, especially for long tasks like writing your blogs, for example, or creating a long form content, or working on a programming project, or on a website, or maybe on a client's email that requires more work, more thinking. So that really works. And again, it keeps you also really focused and not distracted. So number 1 point to-do list. And then number 2, Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes work, 5-minute rest, 25 minutes work, 5-minute rest. The next one, it's more of a hack for your memory. I actually use it naturally. Like I cannot work at the same space. Like I need to be at my desk, and then I want to go into another room. Or when I listen to my podcast, I walk around on the streets. So basically I change locations very often while studying something, because it helps me to stay focused. Otherwise, I just get bored being in one location. And as it turns out, it's actually a memory hack. And I notice that when I need to remember something that I heard in the podcast, I remember the place where I was listening to that podcast. Like, for example, I still remember the podcast, for example, with Tim Ferriss, and now I forgot the name of the guy who he was talking to. That's the guy who created the first online music buying store. And so I still remember the pieces of that podcast because I was listening it walking in Rio de Janeiro. There was this walk up the hill that I did listening to podcast, and I still remember each turn and location and what words I was hearing at that time. And because I travel so much and change my locations that much, so I even remember the first podcast of Tim Ferriss that I listened to that was years ago, and it was in Thailand, in Koh Samui, by the pool. So locations, changing your locations really help your brain to remember things, and you can hack it by for example, sitting at your desk doing something, and then maybe you need to read something. So maybe switch to your sofa, and then maybe go to a kitchen or any place available to you. Or maybe just switch chairs if you're in a co-working space. Basically, change your locations when you change your task, when you change the subject of whatever it is you are doing. So because our brain is very map-like. Our brain likes to map things to locations, to things that are more also visual and something that you can touch, something tangible. That's another hack. I've been using it naturally just because it's really hard for me to sit at one place and do deep work, the activity that requires many hours of work. So I do it naturally, and as it turns out, it's one of the best memory hacks. The next memory hack also, especially if you need to remember like a public speech, or you need to present something, or you need to memorize a concept that you still have hard time memorizing. Like as an example, maybe you know that you're not eating that well because you still don't believe that whole foods, for example, work much better for you than taking a multivitamin. That's why you go for shortcuts, just taking supplements and multivitamins. But if you imagine that whole foods, like any whole food, maybe an avocado, right? It's kind of like a puzzle picture. And each macronutrient and micronutrient, those are the pieces of the puzzles. And avocado as a food with all its health benefits can only work when it's a complete puzzle. Makes sense? And so when you delete certain macronutrients or micronutrients, like fiber, or maybe you decided to take an avocado oil instead of avocado, all right? So you delete fiber, you delete certain proteins, you delete certain carbohydrates, and then you delete other micronutrients, either other minerals like potassium, for example, or magnesium from that avocado puzzle. The puzzle, it falls apart and it doesn't work anymore, right? And so that's why you want to be eating whole foods, because just like a puzzle, they only work when they're whole. And if you just extract separate elements, they're not gonna work for your body. That is also a puzzle, a complex system. So that's one of the ways to visualize concepts that gonna stick in your memory much better. And the more complex the concept you're trying to memorize is, the better it is suited for visualizing it. And actually, guys, the best way to visualize concepts or things you need to remember is to make them three-dimensional, so 3D objects, somewhere the size of like half a meter for half a meter. So they also got to be kind of the same size as Mattias says, and it makes sense because it also helps you to visualize better and get better at that skill when you do the same kind of pictures. And it's also got to be 3D. It gotta have color, and it's best to have textures, and maybe even it has smells. So all of it that will help you to memorize better. So those are 4 techniques for you to memorize and understand things better, like visualizing to understand concepts better and to understand why it's important and how it works. Then learning in different physical locations to help your brain to map your knowledge to a different location and different scene and different experience. And then it's like kind of like you remember that smell maybe of fresh baked cookies that your mom made, and you are instantly transferred into that moment and you remember so many more details. So if you attach smell to also to something, to some memory, to some fact that you're trying to memorize, that's like also a really great hack for your brain. So your brain learns really fast and much better when you connect something abstract to an actual physical real world concept or experience and visualize it, or maybe smell it, touch it, as much as possible with all of your senses. And the next two things are the productivity hacks that all of us can use. I am sure of it 100%. We all need to do meaningful work if we want to succeed in this life and leave a legacy that we are proud of. So number one, when you're about to start working, have a post-it note besides you. Put one most important thing for you to do right now on that post-it note, and then put that post-it note somewhere in front of your eyes, on the wall in front of you, maybe your computer, maybe, I don't know, there is like on your desk, but so you see it, it's right where you look often. So put that thing, and until you're done with that, you don't jump to anything else. And then to keep you focused and at the same time to not get tired and manage your energy levels, and if you need, I don't know, really feel the urge, or you really actually need to check your emails or social media, then Pomodoro technique will help you with that, to keep your focus, your energy up, and also to manage your distractions, and to check whatever you need to check. Also, Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes on timer, because if you constantly look at the clock, checking the time when 25 minutes is up, it's not going to work, guys. It's going to keep you distracted, and you can't really get into focus when you also have to think about the timer and the timing. So your alarm clock for 25 minutes, work for 25 minutes, then 5 minutes break, then 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. It might sound weird, guys, but try it. Honestly, try it for a day with this one point to-do list and post-it note. So try it and you'll be blown away. Like, I'm sure of that. And I'm sure of that also because it's proven by the Grandmaster of Memory, Mattias, that is also on Instagram. So, and soon coming out with the best book in pictures about math. So anyhow, Mattias Ribing, you're also gonna find him and the link to Chris' website in the show notes. So that's what you learned from today, guys. Really cool technique to keep you focused and productive. Also how you can memorize and learn things better and faster, to really like engrave those things you need to learn in your memory, learning in different locations and visualizing concept to understand them, making them tangible and 3D and real world. And then don't forget the Chris dances. We are the products of our environment. So if you do want to eat better and exercise, then change your environment, guys. Start exhausting your willpower. We don't have much of it. None of us do. And then from biohacking community, guys, also sleep is important. The food you eat is important. Testing is a great way to motivate yourself also, guys. For example, if you test your blood work and your DNA and your heart rate variability and VO2 max and your body fat, especially visceral fat around your organs that are life-threatening, if you measure those and then they are not that great, and then you change your lifestyle by changing your environment based on that, and then you measure those again and they improve, you're gonna feel really, really motivated. So I'm gonna do that, not so much for body fat, but to improve my eating habits and my behaviors also, because there is always next level, guys. So no matter how good you think you are, there is always next level. It just is. That's it for today, guys. Hope you found this episode really interesting and very useful. Check out biohacking conferences. There are young, successful people who want to get the edge, who want to be their best. Those are amazing events where you're gonna meet amazing people and learn so much. So check out, probably in your area or somewhere close to you there is one. So they are multiplying. Check them out and go there. And as usual, guys, have an awesome week, first and foremost. And use Pomodoro technique today with 1 point to-do list. And as usual, till next time, eat better daily.